I got a special conversation with you. This conversation is not like many of the conversations I've shared with you here on the Build Your Brave Career podcast, because Mahua Chakravarty shares a definition of bravery that goes very deep and is rooted in her unique values, as well as her unique definition and implementation of those values in her career. Mahua is an experienced leader, and she has worked across sales, business applications, business operations, and people management. Her career is filled to the brim with examples of how Mahua has chosen to build new skills and new experiences. As you're listening to this, I hope that you will be inspired to dive deeper into your own values and perhaps refresh them or update the definition for your own career success. Welcome to the Build Your Brave Career podcast, where we flip the script on the tired stereotype that women in tech have to be stressed out, overworked, and underpaid. I'm Nicole Trick-Steinbach, your host. Forget what you've been taught. Bravery is not a personality trait. Bravery is a skill. And building the skill of bravery is the most powerful way to creating the career and life you really want. As you build your brave, you will stress less, work less, and then earn more. This podcast will help you do just that. Let's dive in. Welcome, Mahua. I am so excited to welcome you here and to share some of your insight. Let's start off with, what is your definition of brave?
First, thank you for having me. And I'm very excited to talk to you, and I hope it benefits people who are listening. My definition of bravery is always embrace our adversaries and surround your career with acceptance, humility, gratitude, and honesty. I know it might sound a bit contradictory, like, okay, bravery, adversities, humility, so how they're also contradictory. But actually, and I say this because my definition is through my experience of 20 plus years of working. And I know this is the way life or career should be led.
You are the first person I ever spoke to about becoming a guest on Build Your Brave Career that said, so here's where I'd like to start. Here are my values. And how within the first 5 or 6 minutes of us talking, you said to me, I have always benefited from adversity. That's why I lead with my values. It blew my mind. And I'm so grateful for you starting our conversation off like this. I just want to welcome you to go a little bit further into how you look at humility and acceptance and gratitude and how they have just completely transformed your career as you've become more senior.
Yeah. When I say acceptance, accept the reality as it is. Because at the end, we are humans, we are professionals, we are giving our heart and soul. We always want good to happen to us. But that's not the reality, right? There will be good, there will be not so good at times. And human nature is to be in denial. For example, it could be, I'm going to win the deal and not my competition. But you never know. You have to accept the reality. Your client is more tilted towards your competition. And it's okay. It could be, or you are not, yes, you deserve the promotion, but it looks like, there is somebody who is playing it smarter to get the promotion. So it is very important to accept that reality. Radical acceptance, I call it. I call it accept it as it is. And that in no way means that you do not want to change it. Of course, I want to change it. But first step is accept it.
Oh my goodness. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And then I know I have to focus on my circle of influence. I know These are the concerns I have around me, but this is what I can control. Your circle of concern either vanishes, gets converted into circle of influence, and you keep going.
There's just this amazing overlap between acceptance and what I call accountability in the Build Your Brave framework. This is what it is. This is who I am in this moment, but that is not the end of my story. And I love how you brought in, you talked about influence and the circle of control, right? The smaller circle, control, and then influence. And like you said, concern. I love that that is where you started, because I know for myself and for the vast majority of my clients and my friends and my colleagues, actually having the bravery and the humility, and I know you're going to get to that one, to acknowledge this is what it is. This is who I am. This is the system, the process, the community that I'm a part of. And then from there, begin to grow and make choices and set new goals.
That's why people like you are doing this service. I think more and more people, at least women, will get to hear this and will get started. With that, I will move to humility. And why I say humility, it's a very, very important part of life and our career as we grow, because I wouldn't shy away from the fact that as a woman, I got bullied several times. It's no secret. But I don't want to convert myself into one of them, because these are the people I don't look up to. And it should never happen that 5 years later, 2 years later, 6 months later, I become one of them. No.
Oh, we're diving in there. If I've understood it correctly, you have worked in situations where people have chosen to act as bullies and they have been successful with that.
Yes.
And you have made a choice not to copy their quote unquote successful behavior. And
Yes.
you have been successful.
Yes.
Did everybody just hear that? You don't have to copy, quote unquote. This is a huge mistake I made in my career. I worked for someone who was so aggressive, slamming doors, yelling, throwing people out of meetings, demanding people to be in meetings that they weren't invited to, and getting angry that they weren't there, expecting people to wake up at 2 o'clock in the freaking morning based on time zones. Like, so aggressive. I copied his behavior and I was promoted. And I thought, oh, this is how you behave. No, it was a very painful experience to unwind that, because when he left the company, I was high and dry. Thankfully, I worked for a company in Germany that A, was unionized, but also B, believed in giving people a third chance, which is so generous, right? And that's actually the first time I got sent to coaching. But dear listener, dear beloved woman in tech, I want you to nail this one. The people around you and how they behave and how that makes them successful, that does not mean that that is how you are going to be successful, period. Thank you. Okay, please keep going.
Before I keep going, I must acknowledge that no matter how smart I sound, I must acknowledge.
Yeah, me too.
I had my own share of arrogance, but luckily for me, a very, very dear colleague of mine, she introduced to me to my coach. And it is with my coach when I had those discussions in my life. And that's exactly when he made me think in these lines. And then I'm like, oh God, I like becoming one of them whom I really look down upon. And that's exactly where now I have that clarity. So I must acknowledge coaching has helped me. And I really want to thank that colleague of mine who introduced me to the coach. So that's where it started.
Oh my gosh, love that.
It is not about having that arrogance. It is about
Yes.
having the humility to conduct yourself with head on your shoulders, feet on the ground, with smile on the face, and it's all good. And that's exactly the way we should carry ourselves. It only helps us have people behind us, around us, to support us, to get the business done. And it, most importantly, I feel with the time I started living with these philosophies, I am more at peace with myself. I am way more equipped to do things, get things done. It's more about inside out And I feel I'm more satisfied.
Yeah. Oh, inside out. What we're talking about here. We're talking about acknowledging, accepting, knowing, and allowing that to be enough.
Humility also means to practice it daily. It's like if I am wrong, and no matter to with whom, how junior the person is, who that person is, I really make a conscious effort to get up and say, I am sorry. If it means
Mm.
sending an apology mail, I don't mind, because I think that's how we train ourselves. And it was one of the findings, even my coach said that, that's living with humility. It's not just talking. It's like you have to be okay to say sorry.
Yeah. And it's uncomfortable the first many times, right? uh,
Yes.
many, many, many times. But honestly, I feel like that brings me so much more pleasure. That brings me so much more connection. That brings me so much. And I think gratitude is one of the things that you mentioned early,
Yes.
right?
So if I were to say gratitude, gratitude for me is every day. Gratitude for basic things in life. It's very important. It's our own journey. And of course, I want to dream big. I want to grow. Everybody should. I just say, dream big in your own way. Your big and my big can be very different, and it's all good. But gratitude is a very key fundamental. It is not only to the people who are or the situations that is making things easy for me, but it is also for people or situations which are like adversities, which are making life
Mm.
a bit more difficult for me, or which are like delaying my path to success. I say this with absolute experience, because these are the people or situations that are pushing me towards picking up skills, towards learning, towards doing things that I would not have otherwise done. It's the universe is trying to teach you. So I really, really thank them, that because they are morphing me into a better professional, better personality. So gratitude every day. Sunny day, rainy day, every day is, gratitude for and every person you meet along the path.
Yeah. And for me at least, it's frequently with delay. That leader, or he wasn't a leader, that boss that I shared earlier, who was really aggressive. I suffered. I suffered a lot. I had no friends. I wasn't quilting. I wasn't reading. I learned how to run in really high heels. I really, really suffered. And now, 20 years later, I see those personalities coming from 25 kilometers away, 15 miles away. I see them coming. I see the insecurity. I see the fear. I see the loneliness that must be inside of all of that, because you and I do not work in medicine. Okay. We are not surgeons. No one's dying if we push a deliverable back. Nobody. All of the urgency, well, 90% of the urgency is made up. It's made up. It's false. It is artificial. And when someone puts so much into their career to the exclusion of humanity, what a sad internal life.
Exactly.
And now I'm grateful for it. But I'll tell you, for about 10 years afterwards, it took a long time. But
Yeah.
now I'm in a place of gratitude.
Yes. And maybe that was very important for you, because else perhaps you would not have taken this journey
That's
of
right.
serving the community that you're doing.
That's right. That's right.
Yes. And as I said, we spoke about acceptance, humility, gratitude,
Mm-hmm.
and it all has to be surrounded by honesty. There is a reason for it too. I say this, and it's my realization as a part of my own development, is that honesty is very important, again, inside out. The way I want to look myself into the mirror, I should be happy, I should be okay. It's as long as I am okay, I'm doing what I know is right, and clubbed with humility, because, oh, you did not do your job right. Oh, what a horrible resource you are. No, that's not honesty. That's arrogance. So that is why you have to club it with humility. Yes, you need to get the message across, but there is always smarter ways. If you tell people, how horrible you are, nobody's going to get motivated and say, Mahua gave me a compliment, let me get to work. No, nobody's
Right.
going to do that.
Right. I have very strong feelings about this. So deep breath, Nicole. When professional pass judgment on the quality of other professionals as humans, I
Exactly.
have some strong words. I have some very strong words because we know slices of people, and when we're in a position, and I know you've been in the position, I've been in the position in which we are either leading the performance evaluation, the feedback circle, or we are a key element of it. I will strike and I will die on the hill of striking any feedback on who the person is as a human. We are not particularly in professional settings, we are not here to pass judgment on the form of who that person is. We are here to provide collaboration and, in this case, feedback on the ability of that person to fulfill certain expectations that were agreed upon when we offered the role and when they accepted the role. And I wonder how you've experienced this in my spaces, particularly following the everyone's working from home, which I'm a huge fan of. And so many people saw other people's personal lives. They saw their homes, they saw their kids, they saw their pets, they saw, right, their art on the wall. I've actually, on both sides, I've had clients that got the performance feedback that was inappropriate. And I also have had clients who were giving feedback that was inappropriate. I've seen a massive rise in feedback on who and critique on you are a bad resource. You are ineffective versus the way in which you communicate, the way in which you rush, the way in which you delay is ineffective to succeeding in this role. Have you experienced that in your
Yeah.
spaces?
Yes.
Yeah.
And that is exactly where I say, acceptance is very important with honesty, because as much as I should accept myself as who I am in that situation, that moment, it is very important to also accept the other person. For who the other
Yes.
person is, right? And as you said,
Yes.
it is for the role. It is where the situation demands. It is like certain actions that needs to be taken, but it cannot different rules
Yeah.
for different people, right? I accept I myself as who I am, but I don't accept you as who you are. No,
Right.
that's not honesty.
Or vice versa. That's what I
Or vice
experience a
versa.
lot
Yeah.
is like, oh, well, he's just demanding. He's just committed, passionate. But right? And it's like, no,
Yes.
no, 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 no. Both. Both.
Yes.
We have covered a lot of ground. And I think this is incredibly rich. I do want to give the audience an opportunity to hear a specific story from you, from your brave career.
Yeah.
What brave story would you like to share?
I will tell you a story which has two parts. It's not always people are creating problems, but there are also times when people are just coming and supporting me the way I should be supported. When I shifted from sales to consulting, my boss said, as long as you are willing to learn, you are willing to give your 100%, you should go for it. That's an opportunity. I took the plunge. It took me some time to convince myself, get the courage. And I'm like, okay, fine, let me get started. That's exactly where I saw that people will not give me resources that are competent enough to support me in the kind of work I need to deliver to the client. So there will be a resource crunch created. It did not take me much time that, okay, fine, Mahua, you are not going to get support. People are maybe waiting for you to fail. And I was like, I don't have an option. I have committed to this client. I'm the face. I don't have experienced team, but I will deliver it because I'm in the face to this client. And for me to make that shift and grow myself, I had to work around the clock for 1.5 years. I did not go to the gym. I did not work out. I put on weight. I used to, on an average, maybe sleep 3 to 4 hours a day, on an average for 1.5 years. But after that 1.5 years, with my sales and business acumen, which was already in place, and then the subject matter, I'm like, okay, fine, I know it all. And then the same set of people who were trying to withdraw support in every form came forward to extend support to me, because everybody wants to join the winning party. This is just one example I gave you. There were many, many such examples across my career. And it's not that that was only one odd example. I think every 2 years I face such situations. That's what I call is brave career. Acceptance, humility, gratitude, honesty, but take the bull by the horn and push it through the cracks, because I know what I'm doing is right. I want to do it. And I say this again, I don't want to fit in anywhere. These are the group of people who are just gossiping, or they are into conversations which doesn't fit my mind. And they may be very powerful people. And I know if I'm not mingling with, I will not get that promotion. But I don't want to become like them. So I want to keep myself aside. So in those cases, I will not try to go and fit in. But in the other case, which I mentioned from in the world of consulting, if I think that needs to be done, I will do it.
I also had a period of my career, I'm sad to say it was a bit longer, where I as well was working around the clock. I shared a little bit earlier, and I won't do that. I'm proud of the version of me who did that level of effort, who figured out the basics as well as the advanced, made mountains move, became a director at 30 while visibly pregnant, which in Germany is a huge freaking deal still. And now, how do you continue to get things done, but not work yourself like that?
I do it with humility, gratitude. One thing that I have realized is I now focus on things in a very different. My focus is on the job. I find smarter ways. I ask the right questions. I focus on the job instead of the person. I focus on the skills that is required to get the job.
That is where seniority leaps take place,
Yes.
Whether it's in title or in mindset. That's exactly where it happens. Speaking of people, who is the brave role model you wanted to share with us?
There are many actually, but one person who's going to stay with me forever is my mom. She's not from the world of tech. She was a teacher. She's in 70s, early 70s. When I lost my dad when I was 19 and she was a teacher, my dad was a businessman. She did not know how the finances were kept, but she took the control. She gave me the assurance that my life is not going to change. I need to focus on my studies and my activities, and everything else is taken care of. And trust me, she did take care of. When I look back, I realized that she was actually walking blindfolded, because she didn't know anything about it. And in those days, I'm talking of 99, early 2000, she was also still learning, right? Learning. She was just making her way. And in one way, she is, while she's a teacher, but she's going and dealing with the other shrewd businessmen there who are very smart people. She knew she has to get her job done. It's one day at a time, one day at a time. So for me, that's also a big learning. One day, on your tough days, take one day at a time. Don't overthink. One step at a time, and you will get there.
That is beautiful. Thank you. Thank you so much. Obviously, everyone wants to connect with you and learn more from you. So, what is the best way to connect with you?
The best way to connect with me is drop me a message on LinkedIn.
Fantastic. And the direct link is in the show notes. This has been a unique conversation. I am very grateful, that you reached out. So, dear listener, you can also reach out and say, hey, I want a guest. I'm so grateful you reached out. And I'm so grateful that you brought us into values as a way to make decisions and to craft a brave career. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thanks to you, Nicole, that you're doing this job for the community.
It really is truly my pleasure. Okay, everybody, until next week, brave it up. If the Build Your Brave Career podcast is helping you reduce your stress, work smarter, or create more income, please share this with a friend.